are talking all about how do you build a team for your grant application so it's super compelling to funders, but also a team in the back end as a grant writer. So with that, let's hit it. Okay, so I just got into a new office space and things. I got a whiteboard, which is like every, nerdy business owner's dream, but it is not on the wall yet. So kind of making do with this tentative office space, but as many of you know, the house I was in using as an office blew up. I'll link that in the description note below. It feels very good to have this space. Let's talk about this because this is a really important topic. Okay, so we have in the Global Grant Writing Collective a tool called the Project Planning Toolkit. And this toolkit asks you the questions that a funder is going to ask to determine if you are ready to receive grant funding. It's the kind of questions that would be present in a grant application. So it's very important, very helpful to flush out planning that maybe hasn't been done to a level that's satisfactory and getting it all ready to go so that when you do go to apply, you're ready to hit the ground running. A big piece of that is the team. So let's talk about major roles. 1, main point of contact. This person is the person that the funder coordinates with. And who that is depends, right? It can be a number of different people. Often it's your project manager. So often it's a person that is in the thick of it. They are in the trenches, they're in the day-to-day, right? And they are responsible for the successful execution of the project on time, on budget, with everyone being happy, right? So often this is the same person, but not always. The grant administrator. So this is someone that is going to be managing the bookkeeping side of things, the financial side, right? Like tracking how much of the grant has been drawn down, so that information can go back to the project manager who is responsible for the finances of the project, making sure things are on track and on budget. So this is your grant admin. Team members, so perhaps you have multiple coordinators, or you have, there's just going to be different roles on your team, and it's great. So this is a place to feature them and what they're doing specifically. Partners. So a partner would be external to the organization. Sometimes you could think of this also as like your stakeholder liaisons. Actually, these are separate, and I should be describing it separately. Okay, so partners are like, they are helping you execute the project. They play a meaningful role in the project. So perhaps this is a long-lasting relationship. You have a memorandum of agreement to working together. It is an enduring and serious relationship, not just someone that would write a letter of support. It's actually you do collaborate to execute on the program or project that you are getting grant funded. Okay, technical support would be consultants, anyone outside. If you're doing a capital facilities project, this would be your contractor, right? So let's say you're doing a capacity building project and you're implementing, Salesforce gives nonprofits free access to their CRM, and it's actually very complicated to use. So fun fact, I actually had my first job out of college working for them. It was quite an interesting experience. So basically the technical support maybe could be someone that knows how to implement that nonprofit Salesforce CRM so that you make the best use of it and aren't dawdling around trying to figure out how to use it. Stakeholder liaisons would be, the best way I can describe this would be, a lot of times I worked on these projects that really involves public involvement and awareness. So we would have a stakeholder that was a liaison to access a larger group because they could use their distribution methods to communicate with the senior centers or to reach real estate agents or whatever, right? So if you have that one person that you give a flyer to or you give information to, then they can spread it out. So here to here, this is your team to present in a grant application. Why? For this main reason, this is why it's important. Number 1, when you have the same person listed for every single one of these roles, that's quite a vulnerable state you're putting yourself in, because what if that person left? Does the grant funder have a lot of confidence that the work is still going to get executed? No. And if you're a very small nonprofit, you're doing everything yourself, it's still really important to find other roles. Even if they're volunteers, they need to be different people plugging into and supporting a project, because again, they're going to know exactly how busy you are and maybe question if you're really going to be able to do this. So really, really important to show we are resilient, we have stability, we have one person drops out, we know how to bring someone else in, we have a whole team supporting this. Really big. Second major why, and this one should be a no-brainer. You get better outcomes, right? When you work in a team environment, you're bringing in different perspectives, you're gaining access to more people, your reach is broader, right? So, and that's the whole point of what we're behind. We want those funders' dollars to go as far as possible. So you just get better outcomes. Last point I want to make, and I'm not sure I used the right word for this, but when you have a real and robust team, it also acts as a forcing function for system development. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're just one person, you can be a sloppy project manager. When you have multiple people you need to be coordinating with, you get your act together and you actually have a communications plan and you have maybe a weekly sync and you distribute email updates accordingly, right? Like you are running a better shop when you're actually running with the team, right? Versus just trying to do it all yourself. In that case, you really aren't going to have to, you can be sloppier. Versus when you get larger and more complex, you have to have some systems, and systems are a good thing. They're your friend. Okay, so that answers 2 of the 3 things we're covering. What's the third? The third is, what does a team look like for you as a grant writer? And this is a big one because I've spent a lot of time being a grant writer as a solo, in my little hermit cave, responsible for everything, often for very large federal grants. And guess what? That is a buckling amount of pressure to put on one person, especially because I found that often the projects really weren't as developed as they were promised, and you're doing a whole lot in the back end. And what could go wrong? Lots of things, namely a really stupid error that costs you the grant maybe not being eligible, right? So it's really important that you have at least one other person that can serve as your quality control, QC. That person needs to not be in the thick of narrative writing with you, but they come in at the end and look through the whole proposal and confirm, okay, it reads through the document consistently. The checklist you provided of what needs to be completed for uploading the application, they're checking and seeing that it's all there, right? Like, okay, yep, there's the letters of support. Okay, everything's in order. The grant application name that's being referenced is correct. Like, they're checking the stuff that your eyes just get crossed on when you're doing it all yourself. So really important that you have someone do that. And if you're thinking, I literally have no one to do that, you do, because you just gotta get creative. 2 ways to do that. One, I used to literally get my little sister to do it. She is way better with grammar than I am. And so she would edit all of my work and then put in my Amazon cart the thing she wanted. So it'd be like $25 yoga mat or something. And I would get it for her because she just totally saved me a ton of time and stupid mistakes by going through my work. The other method that we're seeing a lot of people use in our collective, right? So the online course, community and coaching call program we have is just tag teaming with each other. They'll say, hey, I want a second set of eyes on this. Can I get someone to look over it? People say like, yeah, heck yeah, I want to look at it. And they add comments and they help each other out. Or you find someone that's actually your accountability buddy and they can play a bigger role where you really are helping each other and supporting with each other's proposals. Or even better yet, you actually hire them as a subcontractor. Even if you're in an in-house nonprofit role, why not get a little bit of help with that narrative writing so you're not doing it all yourself on top of everything else to pull off a grant application. So that's something to consider. You can have a team of grant writers. You don't have to do it all yourself. Okay, quality review, we covered that. And then who is approving this bad boy? Because you don't want to submit this proposal, have it come back and then say, you promised what in the application? You don't want to get into that situation. So who ultimately has to review this entire proposal and bless it? Is it the director, executive director, mayor if we're talking a small town? Who is it? So identify who that person is and know that they're on your team, right? Because they need to approve it before we send it and kick it out the door. So as a grant writer, I want you to be also thinking about, I guess the name I'm missing here, but we ran out of room, is the project manager. Like you on your team should be the person that actually is running the program or running the project. So they are sourcing and giving you the technical information you need to write the proposal, right? So that would be the other role I forgot to mention. Okay, so there we've covered how do you build a team that you present in your grant narrative? How do you build a team as a grant writer in the back end? Why this matters, right? And so that's how you build a rock star team. Okay, with that, I think I'll leave it at that for now. If you have any other ideas, thoughts, questions, things you want to talk about when it comes to teams, hit me in the comments below. I see them all. And what else do I say? Hit like and subscribe button if you haven't seen that yet. And with that, I think we'll call it a day and we'll see you next week. Later.